Hello! A little while back I bought a bread baking machine. Yeah, so pretty much that's how this video came to be. Yeah, I just for a long time I've been wanting to make bread by myself. Just, make my own bread and all. It tastes very nice, so yeah. However, a bread baking machine is on the long run a lot cheaper and mostly a lot less effort than to actually make the dough and put it in the oven and wait for it and, yeah. It's just much easier to throw everything in one machine and let the machine do the job. Actually, the first machine I bought was broken. Yeah. Actually bought it new, but it turned out not to work. It did everything, like warming up, the timer worked, only it didn't actually mix the dough, which is pretty much a very important thing in making bread. So yeah, I sent it back to the store, got my money back, ordered another one, and that one does work. So yeah, the past few weeks I've just been practicing with making bread and just what works well for me, and I thought I'd just share those tips and tricks with you now. And also just, in the process show you how I make a whole grain bread with walnuts, because that's how I like my bread. So yeah, pretty much I don't have anything else to say about it up front. I'm just going to show you pretty much those tips and tricks and just a whole tutorial on how I make bread. So let's get started. So first off, here is the machine itself. It's an Inventum BM90. For the record, I only have it up on the kitchen counter when I'm actually using it, because it is quite large. Here's the display, and then on the inside we have the baking tin, which obviously can be taken out to fill it up with all the ingredients. It's really easy to clean as well, like everything just comes clean off and then I only have to wipe it down. And it's just ready for use again, very easy, which is a good thing, because I'm very lazy. But yeah, first thing I always do, of course, is measuring the ingredients. First off, I measure out 250 grams of whole grain flour. And then I measure out the same thing again. You'll see why later. There's a specific order in which things need to be put in the baking tin, so that's why I'm measuring it twice, so I have two separate heaps of flour. And then I measure out 10 grams of sugar and 10 grams of salt. Just regular sugar and regular table salt. Also, I'll just put the entire recipe down below in the description box, because it's probably easier to follow than, just remembering it as I say it. Then I also grab 325 milliliters of water, just in a measuring cup, and then, well, not a specific amount, but a little bit of it I put in a separate container for later. And then first off I throw half of the measured out flour in the baking tin, just so there's a dry base in it. Then the water goes in, like all of the water that's still in the measuring cup, that is. Then I throw in some oil, just a little less than a tablespoon I guess. You could also use butter, by the way. And then the rest of the flour. The idea is that there is something between the other dry ingredients and the water. So that's why I have the flour. Flour gets in after the water. I make a little hole in the center for the yeast in the end, but first off I throw in the sugar and the salt. Both at a different side, because sugar actually helps the yeast, whereas salt works against the yeast. Yep. I didn't know that yet before I read it, but apparently that's the thing. So I keep them both at separate sides and then just put the tin back into the machine. At that point with the yeast you want to be quick, because it starts working very quickly. And I prefer to just immediately mix it with some water, because I feel like it spreads through the bread better. They actually don't recommend you doing this, but my dad recommended it to me and it actually works really well. Because otherwise the top of the bread would be very airy and the bottom would be very compact, and this just makes it more even. So I throw that at the center of the whole heap of ingredients. And once that's in there, I just immediately start switching on the machine. So I put it on the whole grain version. The right weight, the right thickness of the crust, I like it medium. And then just click start. And then the machine immediately starts mixing everything together. And while the machine is mixing, there's more than enough time to prepare any extra ingredients. It's going to be mixing for a little over half an hour, and then it's going to let the bread just, like the dough just sit and rise for another half an hour. So, you got over an hour To prepare extra ingredients, I'm just mixing some walnuts with some honey. It's a combination I like. You could also add spices, onions, fruits. You can add, well, dried fruit, you know. You could add pretty much whatever you want. And then once it starts mixing again, it's time to add those ingredients. The machine actually gives a beep to tell you that it's time to add extra ingredients, and you can just open it while it's mixing, like it doesn't have any safety lock or anything. Not really needed either. And then after the bread is finally done baking, you can carefully take the tin out of the machine, with oven mitts as usually. I tried it once without oven mitts, wasn't a fun day. And then after 10 minutes of waiting and just letting it cool a bit, you can take it out of the baking tin, and there is the bread. At that point, the mixing hook is actually still in the bread, so I just take a knife and very carefully start doing surgery on the bread to take the hook out. I try to just, you know, pull as little bread off as possible because I don't want to waste any. But once the hole is big enough, I just use some meat pliers and take the mixing hook out. And then you're just left with a small hole on one side of the bread. It's not very irritating or anything. I mean, it's in the center, so whatever. And then after letting the bread rest for 20 minutes, you can start cutting it. I obviously just use a bread knife for that. And then here you can see the inside of the bread. So you can see it's really nice and dark. And yeah, so that's my entire how to make bread video. I hope you enjoyed watching this. Thank you very much for watching. And see you next time. Bye!